forget. You go down home when the sun goes low. Head off the highway to painted western sky. Walk down a warm path through the back door, cooking in the kitchen and the kettle is warm. Then you sit down home.
Welcome to Great Chefs of the West, a video symposium of regional cookery offered by chefs of the West and Southwest. From Austin, Texas, an appetizer by Chef Reddy Bauer. From Los Angeles, an entree by chefs Mary Sue Milliken and Susan Feniger. From San Diego, dessert by Chef Rolf Young. And home-based cooking from the YO Ranch in Mountain Home, Texas.
The bromide Too Many Cooks doesn't hold water when it comes to Los Angeles chefs Mary Sue Milliken and Susan Feniger, who's on the right here. Working as a creative unit, this dynamic duo has turned an 8-year friendship into gold at their 2 Hollywood restaurants, City and the Border Grill, which offers Mexican and Southwestern specialties. They prefer dishes that are simple and straightforward, like this entree, grilled turkey breast with vinegar and cracked pepper.
What we do is we get boneless breast of turkey. Oh, we don't, but that's what you can get at home. And there's natural separations in the muscle here that we're going to, what we want to do is we want to clean out any of the silver skin or tendons. Real simply, we want only the nicest part of the turkey breast without any silver skin or sinew, or like this white part here is going to be very tough to chew, so we want to definitely remove that. And there's certain places where the muscles just separate that make it very easy to follow. Just using your finger and your knife to sort of pull and separate the muscle in the breast.
This is just chopped red onion. It's for the sauce.
So once we have this separated into 4 or 5 pieces like this, then what we do is we try and cut it against the grain.
The turkey is sliced into medallions.
So what we do is we take 2 pieces of wax paper. This is actually a Mexican meat mallet, to be completely authentic.
Right, it is. We brought it back from Mexico, but you can actually use just a regular pounder that you can get in the grocery store.
So you want to just gently at first, because the meat's going to really spread, and you want it to be as even as you can so it cooks at the same rate. And then you want to maybe flip it over and make a nice thin piece. Just about like this is fine. It doesn't have to be any thinner than this.
Whole peppers cracked for the sauce.
And if you just press down and all your weight, my partner has an easier time cracking this because she's a bit bigger than I am, so it's easier for
Taller, she means.
Taller, I meant taller.
More taller and more beautiful, actually. Right. That's what you meant, wasn't it? Uh-huh. So what you want to do is lay out all your pieces of turkey so that you can season them evenly on both sides. And the way to season any kind of meat, and it's real important, is to just lightly sprinkle so that every bite gets some salt and every bite gets some pepper. And it's something that I think, a lot of people who don't cook as a profession don't really think about, that salt and pepper can be as important as anything else.
Oftentimes we'll taste dishes in the kitchen that they can't seem to figure out what to do to it, and we'll just add a tiny bit of salt and pepper, and it changes the whole flavor.
So lightly salted and peppered, and then also lightly floured. And when you flour the turkey, you want to pat it, really, really pat it, so all the flour excess comes off. And it just has a tiny coating of flour. This is to prevent it from sticking to the grill.
The cutlets go onto a stovetop grill briefly.
It doesn't take long to cook at all.
Then into butter.
just barely coat them in the butter. And really quickly give them a little bit of a saute, and that's it. They could be even a tiny bit pink in the center when you take them off the fire. Then you want to add to the pan the red onions. Slow.
I got the cooler burner here.
Add the red onions.
A tiny bit of salt at this time will pull the moisture out of the onions, so you can start to get a little bit of color.
And then you want to add some cracked black pepper. And then we want to add white vinegar.
That's
Just a
in
little
Mexico they use just a little bit of white vinegar. They use white vinegar much more than they do red vinegar in cooking, which is unusual in this country or in the French kitchen.
We want to let that reduce by about half.
Then what you have is a nice gelatinous chicken stock. That's what you want. Now,
If you have it, that's
if
great.
you have it, it's great. But if not, you can use just canned broth.
Chicken broth.
But a good chicken stock that you can make, or turkey stock out of the bones, is ideal. And it should be gelatinous like that with no fat. The fat could have been skimmed and clarified and used for sautéing instead of butter. So a little bit of chicken stock in the pan. Let that reduce.
This is the time you have to stop and think about how it tastes. If it needs a little more salt, more pepper, more vinegar.
And in Mexico, most of the sauces are served actually quite thin, differently than the French kitchen where everything's really thickened. In Mexico, they serve so many dishes actually in a broth itself rather than actually thickened very much. So we add a tiny bit of butter into it to give it a little bit of body, but also to sort of calm down the vinegar flavor in it. Cold butter with a whip or with tongs.
Or with a shake.
Shaking it in. You want to actually incorporate this butter into the sauce without melting it, without it just melting. It actually binds it somewhat. I see.
There's a road headed to the west, and it's calling me back again. There's a pale blue sky and a northern sunset, and a place I can't forget. You go down home when the sun goes low. Head off the highway to a painted western sky. Walk down a worn path through the back door, cooking in the kitchen and the kettle is warm. Then you sit down